Ajnanatimirandasya gnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. Good morning, everybody. So today's reading is from Canto 7, Chapter 1, Verse 3. And it says, Itina sumahabhaga Narayana gunan prati samshaya sumanchatas tatbhavams chetum arati. And the translation is, King Parikshit inquires, O greatly fortunate and learned Brahmin, whether Lord Narayana is impartial or partial has become a subject of great doubt in my mind. Please dispel my doubt with evidence that Lord Narayana is always equal and neutral to everyone. So it is a verse which I chose just randomly. I just chose a verse that came up by picking into the Srimad-Bhagavatam. And so I was preparing it. And then just the day before yesterday, I had a short conversation with one of our brothers. And he said, well, take the chance and connect it to a certain topic that we were discussing before. And I was thinking, okay, so it makes sense, but how do I connect it to this verse? And so now I try to connect it to it, and it actually makes sense in a bit of a unusual way maybe, but I hope it is beneficial. And it is a topic, if we go into it, is into the question, is Lord Narayana partial or not? And the question, the answer, or part of the answer of the question is already in the question itself. Is he partial? So partial comes from part. And it becomes obvious now that the highest Lord is not partial. He is not a part. He is complete. And only a part can be partial. Because only a part is incomplete and therefore is bound to desire. Whenever desire arises, negativity arises and partiality arises because we want to achieve something. And what gets lost is if we are part, so it means we are not in synchronity with the oneness. We are all single parts. Let's say, take our body. Our body is made up of single cells, about 13 trillion cells, which are all individual. But there is this phenomenon that these cells in our bodies are synchronized together. These 13 trillion cells are synchronized into one organism. And they make something much, much, much bigger than a single cell. They make up something, a vehicle altogether, which gives the opportunity to realize the highest truth, the highest joy, the highest love, which is ever growing actually. So what is the highest love then? Yes, the highest love is that is never ending, it's always growing. And even on a science level, in the mere matter, there is this phenomenon of synchronity, and has a special name. It is called Bose-Einstein condensate. It is related to the great scientist Bose, an Indian scientist, and Einstein, everybody knows. And this is a state of matter where most of the particles in a certain mass of matter are completely synchronized and behaving as if it would be only one particle. So it is a number of atoms together which are in a certain state, and all these mass of atoms together behave as if it would be only one atom. And this is very interesting. It reminds me on a tattva that is described, on Guruji mentions in, I think in the Sri Guru Gita, where he says that the Lord, and this reminds me on that fact of synchronity, complete synchronity within the Lord, where everything that exists behaves as if it would be one atom, in complete synchronity. And if we come back to our picture of our body, so then we see when illness kicks in, when desires kick in, when lacking kicks in, so then what happens is kind of a scattering of our reality, of our mind, body, heart and spirit. It is not as in synchronity anymore. It creates tension. It creates problems and illness. And not only our body itself as a smaller unity, as a smaller part of the whole, but the next bigger reality beyond the individual self is the community. The community is actually an interesting word also. Unity. So it is the individual parts together creating a unity. And we see all our daily striving on a personal level and also on a community level, in a nationwide level, in a worldwide level. It is all about synchronizing, finding, making friends, reducing enemies. How do we become friends? By synchronizing, no? And if we look into different groups and movements of ourselves and our friends, so then we find that the common interest that we have with one another makes us friends. If we have one thing in common that we find with somebody, we are very happy. If we find 2 things or 3 things that we have in common with another person, so it becomes even a better friend. And who is our best friend? The world calls best friend the one with whom one shares the most things in common. And so the ultimate best friend is the Lord Himself. With Him we are sharing everything. Everything. If we are lucky, from our side, but from His side, yes. And what we try to find in the communities is synchronity. And this synchronity in the world, we try to establish the sense of belonging together in the family, of course, first of all, which is naturally, but then in the village or in the city we come from. We are from the same city, we are from the same community, from the same part of society. But what you see is that a village or a family or a nation, it's not a community, it's part of a society. Why is it not a community? Because there is no unity. There is no unity in the individual, and so there is also no unity even in the family. Of course, we share certain things, certain rules together, but it's limited. And we see that there is no unity in the families nowadays. And this synchronity is it's tried to create through the media, through the mass media. The media tries to synchronize people by establishing certain ideas, sharing the same information, and creating the same emotions about this information. Because it is an inherent knowledge that only synchronity creates peace, oneness, impartiality. So creating the state where we are not parts anymore, but we behave as one person. And what the media, what the world is trying to do is to create this community through mass media and so on. But what happens, it can never lead into synchronity, into peace, because this is only on the mental and in the emotional level. And it is not complete in the mental and in the emotional, because there are other emotions and desires in everyone. So it is scattering in all directions. And for that, the instrument that is used to bring synchronity is control, increasing control, which finally has to lead into complete dictatorship. All paths of the world, no matter what name we give to them, they will always lead into complete dictatorship. Because finally everybody has to be synchronized. And for the world, it is the only way to say there has to be someone who says what to do. And this is also what we find in the stories of the big demons. Hiranyakashipu, for example, Ravana, who conquered all the worlds to create peace. And they dictate everything for everybody. And they make everybody to worship them as to be the highest. And this path is always manifesting if the society, if the people, the parts do not synchronize in the Lord. And the tool for synchronization in the community is only one. It is as a community prayer. And I'm reflecting on this community prayer reality since quite some time, again and again. And I understand more and more why Guruji is pushing it so much, or was pushing it even more in the past. Now there is a phase where he's not so much pushing it, obviously. But when I was here in the ashram, it was quite strict, so that even a schedule was made where everybody was ticked when entered the temple, and even when entered the temple only 1 minute later or 5 minutes later. And then if you got too many dots, for becoming late or not showing up, you got a dot. And if you had so and so many dots, you were supposed to leave. And so Guruji tried several ways to awaken in us this awareness about the power and the importance of community prayer. Because this prayer is synchronizing on all levels of our existence. We are creating a stream of energy when we engage and focus more and more into it, when we grow into it. Community prayer is not just sitting in the prayers and being there and thinking of something else. But we do. And it's okay. But if we become aware about its reality, to create and to grow into this enormous grace that synchronizes all people who participate in it on all levels together, and finally falling into bliss, where everybody is one, a oneness, part of this oneness, where there is no discrimination anymore between you and me. It just goes into that bliss. And the energy emanating from this group of people is extremely powerful to purify the whole atmosphere and to uplift and to enlighten the whole world. And in this way, finding back to the reality of impartiality, manifesting this peace. And this topic is actually very, very interesting and enlightening, also on a scientific level, not just what I mentioned now. And I hope and I wish that we kind of can develop this project, because it is actually a big project, this community prayer, to develop it in our minds and understanding, and by understanding it deeper and more, to participate more intensely into it. And there was actually one picture that came to my mind, which was very, very beautiful. And I want to share it for the closing of this sharing. And it was in 2013, was the Mahakumbh Mela, no? It was 2013. And I had the grace to also be there with Guruji. And for the Kumbh Mela, what happens is that the relic of a saint, I forgot the name, is put into the Ganges, or a few relics of a few saints is put into the Ganges. And so everybody is bathing in it. But the bathing has a certain order. So first, the saints and sadhus go into the water. And then a certain order follows, and then the people go. And it was very interesting that Guruji at one point said that everybody who comes to the Kumbh Mela is not just coming and purifying. No, everybody also has to give something. So everybody who is going into the water, everybody is contributing something into the water, into this energy, for the benefit of everybody. And as this contribution of everybody, this treasure that we leave in the water, from this everybody is benefiting. And reflecting on this, and reflecting on Guruji's words about prayers, this flow of energy. What is a river? A river is a flow of energy. A river is a flow of energy. And when we come together for community prayer, we create this flow of energy. And the more we open up, and the more we forget ourselves and focus more and more on the Lord, our treasury opens. The treasury of our heart and our soul. The more we elevate ourselves through the community prayers in our energies, the more we open up and contribute our treasury into this flow of energy towards the Lord, in which everybody is bathing and everybody is contributing one's treasury into it, and everybody benefits from all that. And when saints are contributing into that stream and taking part in the community prayer, and of course the Lord Himself is present, then we have actually every day a Kumbh Mela where we come together and pray. And this is most amazing, purifying, uplifting in a way on all levels that is beyond our understanding. And in this way, find an experience, find the answer ourselves to this question of King Parikshit through our own experience. That when singing the Lord's name and falling into this ocean, into this river, and into this holy river, finding impartiality as our own experience. Jai Gurudev, thank you.